Welcome everyone to the NoDQ.com live recap of WWE Survivor Series 2025, the first Survivor Series to take place in a stadium. 45,000 plus fans, San Diego, California, Petco Park. A lot of interesting developments on this show. So let's get right to the recap. Shout out to everybody that has sent in a super chat. I will get into those in just a few moments here. Thank you all for your super chats. I very much appreciate it. Let's talk about the show. We opened up with the women's WarGames match, as I expected. By the way, I got a perfect score for Survivor Series. Perfect score as in 0 points in the No DQ Prediction League. I missed every match. I missed every bonus point. That might be a first for me. I completely bombed on this show. I took a chance and, well, lesson learned, kids. Do not go against the betting odds because the odds are you will be wrong. Without spoiling anything, I will get to a few of the super chats real quick. Mr. Penguin 88 sent in $5. Thank you, Mr. Penguin. Comment here, kind of disappointing ending and a strange one too, referring to the main event, which we will talk about. And there's already speculation about what happened there at the end. I will address that, so stay tuned. If you're watching live, make sure you tell a friend and spread the word. We'll talk about that. It seems like we might have an idea what that ending was all about, so stay tuned. Shout out to Ian, who sent in a $2 super chat. Ian says, this was my least favorite WWE PLE of the year, or just past 6 months, or ever. Thank you for the super chat, Ian. Ian meant to say 2025, least favorite of 2025. Well, I've seen some mixed opinions about this show, that is for sure. Thank you again, Ian. I do appreciate it. Now, some of these other super chats I will get to here momentarily, just so I stick with the topic. We had our women's WarGames match. Charlotte, Flair, and Asuka started off the match. No shark cages this year, a change from previous WarGames, maybe because of the stadium configuration, the ballpark. They decided not to do the shark cages, maybe with Brock Lesnar involved. WWE thought it would be silly for him to be in a shark cage, so they're like, well, let's just scrap the shark cages this year. We didn't get it. We just had the first two women, and then each woman would come out, make the entrance once it was their turn. It was a very standard WarGames match, in my opinion. I mentioned this on Facebook and Twitter. I thought the women's blood and guts match was significantly more interesting than this one. It was just your basic, very average. Like if you were going to book an average WarGames match, just by the numbers, nothing out of the ordinary. That was the women's WarGames match. It just started off with the baby faces having the WarGames advantage, which I always think is weird because psychologically the heels are supposed to have the upper hand and it's the baby faces that are struggling to fight back. But in this case, the faces always had the advantage for the entire match. So once it was evened, the heels, they even the odds. And it just doesn't work from a psychological standpoint, in my opinion. I'm not a fan of it. Now, sometimes we get a storyline where something happens and the heels manage to overcome that by breaking the rules to shift things into their favor. Io Sky came out there. She had her custom trash can lid. And the gimmick here was that each woman came out with their own weapon. Becky Lynch had her kendo stick. We had Becky and Charlotte going at it for a while. Kairi Sane had a steel chain. Alexa Bliss was out there, and her and Charlotte worked together for a while. I did like how they took the chain and wrapped it around Charlotte, Io, and Alexa, so they were all stuck. That was at least a creative spot. And then AJ Lee made her entrance. Becky Lynch attempted to block the door, so instead AJ just climbed up to the top. Remember, this is open, not like the AEW cage where there's a roof. AJ climbed up top, and she did a crossbody from the top rope onto the Kabuki Warriors. Then Nia came out. She dominated for a while, and then Rhea Ripley made her entrance. Rhea had maybe the best attire of the whole show, a little tribute to Art the Clown from Terrifier. She had the mask, the white mask like Art the Clown. I thought that was cool. I liked Rhea's look, paying tribute to Art. She came to the ring. She had a bunch of weapons. And then Lash Legend was the last person to make her entrance. And then the WarGames match, 45 minutes into the show, officially begins. I think it's so silly that they say the match begins once everybody's in the ring. We've been watching them fighting for 40 minutes, and now we're starting the match. I think it's goofy, personally. I'm not really a fan of how they make a big deal out of this, but I get it. Like, the match can't end until everybody's out there. I preferred what they did in WCW when they just called it the match beyond. Once everybody's in there, then it's the match beyond, instead of just saying now the match officially starts. I don't know. It's weird to me. So Lash Legend came in there and got in some momentum. She had a nice little showing here. Nia and Lash were working together. Kabuki Warriors double teamed Io with the chain, but then Rhea Ripley broke up the pin. Then all the bad girls turned to Rhea. Things were not looking good, but then the turning point in the match, we had Asuka accidentally spitting the mist into Lash, taking her out of the equation, and then Io climbed to the top, and we got our Io Sky spot that we get every year. This time, AJ got up on Rhea's shoulders and handed the trash can to Io, and then Io put the trash can over her head, did the big dive off the top of the cage, wiped out the bad girls. Becky was all by herself. Becky tried to run away, but it was 5-on-1. And then Rhea hit the riptide to Becky, and then AJ tapped out Becky, giving the good girls the victory in the WarGames. They had the advantage, so they really didn't have much to overcome other than their 5 opponents, but they did have the advantage, and they did pick up the win. Match was all right, but to me, it was nothing special. Shout out to Dave is a Beastly 2024, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, this show was not worth those ticket prices. I wasn't there, so I can't say if it was worth it or not. I know I enjoyed the Royal Rumble very much, and those were not cheap tickets. You'd have to ask the people that went. We'll have to get Jeff Meacham's opinion. Shout out to Jeff. Jeff was at the show in San Diego with his son, and I'm sure we'll hear from him. Make sure you follow him at the Jeff Meacham Network on YouTube and his social media pages. I'm sure he'll have some thoughts on that. You'd have to ask those fans, those 45,000 fans. If they keep buying tickets and keep showing up, then to them, it's worth it. But yes, those were some expensive tickets for that show. I know that much. Shout out to Caleb Jacobs, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Caleb. I appreciate it. Caleb says, it's almost as if Rhea Ripley is a Terrifier now. Oh, I love it. And she also did the little hand gesture that Art the Clown does. She was great. I mean, she's really embracing that. Art the Clown is all over the place now. He's like the modern day Jason or Michael Myers or Freddy. You go to Hot Topic, and that's Rhea Ripley's style. You got Terrifier merchandise everywhere. So I love that she's embracing that. I thought that was great. They got to get Art the Clown on a show sometime. If they ever bring back Raw guest hosts, which I don't really think they should, but there's an idea. Art the Clown as a guest host of Monday Night Raw. I would enjoy that if they ever did that. And shout out to Papa Gino. Gino sent in some super chats. I'll get to those soon. And Caleb, I'll get to your other one in just a moment. Next up, we had John Cena versus Dominik Mysterio for the Men's Intercontinental Championship. I enjoyed this match. I liked that they provided multiple swerves in this one. So we had Raquel and Roxanne on the outside, and sure enough, they kept interfering multiple times. And then Dominik and Cena were on the outside, and Dominik attempted a Hurricane Rana, but landed badly, and the referee immediately checked on him. And people were thinking this past Monday on Raw, Penta got hurt, and we kind of had the same scenario here where it looked like the match was going to be stopped. Roxanne and Raquel got in the ring and attacked John Cena, and then sure enough, Dominik was okay. He was feigning the injury. Whoever came up with this was a great idea. You know, coming off of Raw, they're like, well, it's fresh in everybody's minds, so let's repeat it here. That was a brilliant idea. Dominik using the Eddie Guerrero tactics and playing off the Penta deal from Raw. This was really well done, but the referee was pissed. The referee wouldn't even count the fall, and he ejected Roxanne and Raquel from the ringside area. Then we got the ref bump. Cena knocked the referee down. He applied the STF. Finn Balor and JD McDonough run down and attack Cena. Cena, though, manages to fight both of them off. He gave them both the AA at the same time, you know, just like when he did it to Big Show and Edge all those years ago. So a little callback to that. And then Dominik attempted to use the IC title as a weapon, but Cena dodged it. And then all of a sudden, we had Liv Morgan's music play. She made her big return. Now, this news was already leaked earlier in the day that she was coming back. And she also teased that she would be coming back soon. She was able to beat the recovery timeline. People thought she was going to show up for the Rumble, but she was back early. She came out there. She acted like she was going to help Dominik, but instead she punched him. And she jumped up and hugged John Cena. So it looked like we got the Liv Morgan babyface turn, but then they cut to the close-up of Liv, and it was a callback to the John Cena heel turn when Cena had that dark look in his face when he was hugging Cody. We got the same thing here. Great callback. I thought that was well done. She gave John Cena a low blow. It was a double swerve. And Dominik was back up to his feet. He gave the 619 to Cena. Liv hit Cena with the championship, and then Dominik came off the top with the frog splash and got the 1-2-3 victory to regain the IC title. Dominik and Liv pulled a fast one off on everybody, and it was great. One little issue I had, though, where the hell was Ray? All this interference, Ray was there in San Diego. He was on the kickoff show, and he's nowhere to be found. Like, he doesn't help his buddy John Cena when Cena's like outnumbered 5-1. No Ray. Yeah, we kind of had to have overlooked that. Whatever. They should have at least done something to not have Ray come out there. Like he's locked in his dressing room or something. I don't know. But the fact that there was no Ray out there, that was the only big logic hole I had with this segment. Otherwise, I thought the match was well done. It was entertaining. I liked the swerves. I thought all that was well done. Kept people guessing. So overall, I did enjoy it. And shout out to Caleb Jacobs, who sent in a $2 super chat, $2.13 super chat. Caleb says, at least John Cena can call himself a Grand Slam champion. That's right. John Cena did win the IC title, even if it was a short run. He's now in the history books as a Grand Slam winner, and I'm glad he had that run. He lost here, and I wouldn't be shocked if he loses his last match, but then again, my predictions were way off, so what do I know? Maybe he wins his last match. We'll see. And shout out to Gino, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Gino. Says, best at the Crazy in Love storyline, AJ, Liv, or Mickie James? I thought AJ was great at her peak. So to me, she's still the one to beat. But Liv definitely has really come into her own as a character. And we'll see if she ends up surpassing AJ as a character when it's all said and done. But, you know, the whole love bites thing with AJ during her peak, I mean, that was great stuff. And Mickie was good as that stalker character as well. So thank you for that, Gino. I appreciate it. And let's get to the next match, which was the weak point of the show. We had Stephanie Vaquer versus Nikki Bella, the filler match, the bathroom break match, whatever you want to call it. It was all right. It was just what I initially thought it was going to be, a filler match. And then I started having these ideas, and I was maybe thinking too much into it. I thought, well, what if Brie shows up? They do the twin magic. They turn Nikki heel. Are they really going to have her lose her first match as a heel? And the answer is yes. Nikki lost. It was a very basic match with Stephanie getting attacked right off the bat. But then Stephanie got in some offense, and then Nikki hit the rack attack 2.0. Stephanie got her foot on the rope, and then they ended up on the outside. Stephanie did the devil's kiss on the announce table, got Nikki back in the ring, did the devil's kiss again, then hit the corkscrew splash, and got the win. It was a Raw match. There was really nothing to it. It was just there to fill time. And I agree with This Is Suck, We're Madness. Nikki did look great. And that was probably the highlight of the match. But beyond that, it was just give the champion a win. And don't really see where Nikki goes from here, other than they do bring Brie back at some point and the Bellas maybe try to go for the tag titles. But beyond that, doesn't seem like there's much left for Nikki to do. All right, so we'll quickly move on from that and get to the men's WarGames match. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, the Usos, and Roman Reigns against Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar. CM Punk entered first, and then Braun Breaker was the first person for the Vision. We then had Drew McIntyre coming out there. I kind of would have liked to have seen McIntyre and Punk as the first two, but as it turns out, there was a good reason for Breaker to start the match. We'll get to that in a little bit. Of course, the bad guys had the advantage in this one, so it made more sense psychologically than the women's match. We had Cody coming out there, and McIntyre blocked the door. Cody climbed the cage and did a crossbody from the top of the cage onto McIntyre. If it sounds familiar, that's because they did the same exact spot with AJ in the first match. So that leads to Papa Gino's $2 super chat. Thank you, Gino. Gino says, thoughts on the repeated spots in the WarGames matches? I'm not a fan. Like, if you're going to do two WarGames matches on the same night, you have to try to come up with some unique spots. This is the problem. And nobody thought, well, we're doing this in one match. Maybe we shouldn't do it in the second match. Like, they literally did the same spot with the cage door being blocked, and the person had to climb up the cage and jump in. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Lack of creativity there. Somebody dropped the ball here. And they shouldn't have done the same spot twice. So wasn't a fan of this. So there was a miscue where Cody accidentally struck Punk with an elbow. He accidentally elbowed Punk, and Punk was bleeding, although not much. We did get blood in this match a little bit. I don't know if it was hard way blood or what, but Punk was bleeding a little, and later on it wasn't noticeable really at all. And also Cody got busted open at some point, but again, it was very minor, so it might have been a hard way cut. Punk and Cody had a little miscommunication, but they did regroup. And then there was a really scary moment where Cody and Punk did this doomsday device to Bron Breakker, and Bron landed right on the back of his head and neck, and he was checked on, and fortunately he was able to continue. But that was scary. That was a brutal bump. He did continue, and hopefully he's okay, and there's no injury there. But it looked nasty. Then Logan Paul came out. He brought chairs in the ring. Then we had Jimmy come out there. He slammed the cage door into Breaker's face. We got a cage door slammed into somebody's face, which is very typical in a cage match. And Jimmy brought the tables in the ring. Crowd always loves the tables. Bronson Reed came out next, and he delivered tsunamis to Punk, Jimmy, and Cody. Then Jay came out, and the Usos got it together. They did some super kicks, and they did the 1D to Logan Paul. And then for some reason, they did the Yeet Encore, which gets the crowd pop, but was pretty stupid if you ask me. Why would you do this when Brock Lesnar is about to make his entrance? Doesn't seem like the brightest move. So, yeah, I have mixed feelings on that one. You get the crowd pop, but logically it made the baby faces look like complete idiots. So Brock Lesnar comes out there, first ever WarGames, first tag match in over 20 years. I think that's accurate. I know he was going to team up with Cody, but actually turned against him, so that doesn't count. So yeah, I believe it's his first tag match in over 20 years. Lesnar's coming in there. Suplex City, F5s, complete domination. Then Roman Reigns makes his grand entrance. Lesnar gets out of the cage and goes after Reigns, and they brawl around ringside, and Lesnar gets the upper hand. He puts Reigns through the announce desk. He brings Reigns back into the cage, and the match officially starts. It's goofy, but that's their rule. Punk and Cody work together. They double team Lesnar. Logan Paul makes the save. And then Heyman, who was at ringside, gives Logan Paul the brass knuckles. Logan uses them as a weapon, but then Reigns hits Logan with a spear out of nowhere, takes the brass knuckles, uses them for Superman punches. And then Lesnar tried to F5J, but Reigns speared Lesnar through the table, and Lesnar was seemingly out of the equation. Punk got the upper hand, hit the go to sleep, but then all of a sudden, a mystery man wearing a hood, wearing a mask, comes in the ring, and he delivers a curb stomp to CM Punk, which naturally makes everybody think it's Seth Rollins, but Rollins is really hurt. The masked man leaves the ring, does not identify himself. Bron Breakker hits Punk with a spear and gets the 1-2-3 victory. Is it just me, or are pinfalls a little lackluster in a WarGames match? I much prefer submission only. But anyways, Punk gets pinned by Bron Breakker, which is great for Bron Breakker. I'm a fan of that. And Bron Breakker did start the match. So for him to start the match and then get the pin, that's really great for Bron Breakker. I'm definitely a fan of that booking decision. The cliffhanger is interesting. They celebrate with Paul Heyman's team, and the rumor is that it's Austin Theory. Austin Theory is actually the masked man, which I'm not really a fan of. I don't think Austin Theory as a heel has worked. I think Theory should be back as a babyface and not a heel. So if it is in fact Austin Theory, I cannot say I'm a big fan of that. So we'll see what they reveal. Apparently on the kickoff show, or not the kickoff show, the post show, Paul Heyman said he doesn't know who the mystery man is, but sounds like it's Austin Theory. And after the match, after Heyman's team celebrated with the pyro, there was a three-way stare down between Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk. So they're teasing WrestleMania with Reigns facing one of those guys, and he was right there with Cody. So it may in fact be Reigns versus Cody one more time. I think Reigns is a pretty likely favorite to win the Royal Rumble at this point. I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. And Reigns did say to Cody, this is the last time we team together. So definitely looks like Reigns against either Cody or Punk at WrestleMania. And as Matthew pointed out, Braun Breaker versus Punk at Mania, I like that idea. And Braun wins the title and they cement Braun Breaker as the guy. I'm a fan of that. Cody versus Reigns, I could see happening. So, as rumored, it was reported that we might get some clues for WrestleMania, and I think we definitely did on this show at the end here with the little stare down at the end. Let's get to the Super Chats, and then I'll give my final thoughts on the show. 2010, Jose M says, the mystery man is Colt Cabana. That would be one of the funniest reveals of all time. It would get no pop because I think 95% of WWE fans have no idea who Colt Cabana is, but it would be an all-time funny reveal. That or Kenny Omega, obviously he's under contract to AEW, but what if it was Jack Perry? Like, it could have been one of the funniest things ever if it was one of those guys, but yeah, sounds like it's Austin Theory, and that's kind of a letdown in my opinion. I rather just had been Austin Theory, you know what I mean? But they're doing this whole, is it Seth Rollins? I don't know. Mixed feelings on it. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Braun versus Punk at the Royal Rumble. I think that's a little early. If Braun Breaker's winning the title, I think you should do it at WrestleMania and have him beat Punk clean in the middle at WrestleMania to really cement Braun as the guy. And people are wondering, well, what about Lesnar? Brock Lesnar versus Gunther, as we've been talking about for a couple of years. Shout out to Gino, who sent in $2. Gino says, they really want us to think Seth, but who is it really? Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, they want us to think it's Seth, but then the guy unmasks and it's Austin Theory. I feel like that's kind of a letdown personally. And again, I think Theory should be a babyface, not a heel. They've tried to make him a heel for years, and it just wasn't working. So I don't know. Not really vibing with Theory as the guy who gets unmasked. So Survivor Series is in the history books, and I have to say there's a lot of buzz about the show. I don't know if it's necessarily good buzz. I thought the show was good. I give it 6 out of 10. Good show, but I have to say one of the weaker WWE PLEs in recent memory. For a stadium show, I don't think it quite lived up to the hype. And coming off of Blood and Guts, I have to say AEW's matches were better. Now, I know the excessive blood and violence is not everybody's cup of tea, but in a cage match environment, I mean, this is the time to really go all out and make it a war. And the women's match especially did not feel like a war to me. It felt like a match with a cage with one woman entering at a time and just basically doing normal moves. And the one big spot, the EO jumping off the cage, we've already seen it. I mean, it's her gimmick. She does it every year. And the men's match was better, definitely more star-powered and more interesting, but still nothing too special. I do think that these matches fell flat coming off of Blood and Guts. Now, if you didn't watch those matches and didn't have those expectations, it might have been better for you. But even by WWE War Games standards, I think previous years, these last couple of years, and even in NXT, they had better War Games matches. Like if I was ranking the WWE War Games matches, take out AEW's matches, just the WWE War Games matches, I think both of these were probably towards the bottom. Like especially the women's would be very close to the bottom, and the men's one probably somewhere in the middle, but definitely better men's War Games matches in recent years. So there you have it. I actually think the best match on the show was John Cena and Dominik. It was interesting. And I agree with TJS. It might be time to stop doing them as a mandatory yearly match and just save them for when a storyline calls for it. I think that's a really solid idea. 6 out of 10, good, but definitely not great. And below par for even WWE's standards of the War Games concept. And they may want to consider changing things up next year. You know, I've seen some comments in the chat room that people are saying it's kind of run its course. And yeah, I mean, you can only do the jumping off the cage with the trash can spot so many times. You know, we've seen it before, and this is another problem with doing the 2 matches a year and trying to come up with unique stuff for every match. And yeah, when you got competition from AEW, I think you also have to step up the brutality a little bit more. You know, War Games should be war. When it's over, you should feel like, holy shit, these guys just damn near killed each other. And I didn't really feel that from this show. Maybe a little bit from the men's. I mean, Braun Breaker took that crazy bump, but beyond that, not a lot to really write home about. They did the mystery man angle, who will likely be Austin Theory, but we'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the fallout from the War Games and Survivor Series. We got John Cena's retirement, and we also have the NoDQ.com year-end awards coming up very soon. I will be posting details on Sunday. So whenever you're watching this, check out NoDQ.com for details on the NoDQ awards. And I'll be posting the Hall of Fame results. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Say yes to NoDQ. Have a great night, and I will see you all next time.